4 rounds just punched through the plywood door 2 inches from your head, and you haven't even flinched. Your weapon is up, your breathing is controlled, and before the dust settles, you're already moving through the breach point with a violence of action that would terrify anyone watching. But no one is watching. Because officially, you don't serve in this unit. Officially, this unit barely exists. This is your life as every Tier 1 DEVGRU operator rank. This video is a dramatization for entertainment and educational purposes. Details are drawn from publicly available sources, interviews with retired operators, and published accounts. Specific tactics, identities, and operations remain classified. The Naval Special Warfare Development Group, known to most of the world as SEAL Team 6, was forged out of failure. After the disastrous Operation Eagle Claw in 1980, the Navy realized it needed a dedicated counter-terrorism force that could operate at a level beyond anything that existed. What emerged is widely considered the most elite combat unit on the planet. Today, we're walking through every major rank inside that unit, from the candidate who hasn't earned a thing yet, to the commanding officer who holds it all together. Let's begin. You've already spent 6 years in the SEAL teams. Deployments to places you still can't talk about. A combat record most operators would retire on. And none of it matters anymore. You're a Green Team selection candidate now. And Green Team doesn't care what you've done. It cares about what you can do under conditions designed to break you. The 9-month selection and training pipeline is relentless. Monday, you're running advanced close-quarters battle drills for 14 hours straight, cycling through kill houses until your arms shake from holding your rifle up. Tuesday, you're sitting in a classroom absorbing advanced demolition, theory, and if you fail the written exam, you're gone. No second chances, no appeals. The attrition rate hovers above 50% most cycles. Seasoned SEALs, men who've been in gunfights, who've earned Bronze Stars, wash out because the standard here isn't bravery, it's perfection under sustained pressure. You watch a teammate, a guy named Ramirez who everyone assumed was a lock, get pulled from training after a single negligent weapons handling incident. One mistake, career-defining dream, over. And every night you lie in your rack wondering if tomorrow is your turn. But it isn't. You absorb every correction. You adapt faster than your peers. You finish Green Team, and for the first time in your career, you feel like you've actually arrived somewhere that matches your ambition. The day you pin on the DEVGRU Trident variation, there is no ceremony. Just a quiet nod from your new team leader and a cage locker with your name on it in the squadron bay. You're an assault team operator now, the new guy, and in a unit where everyone is exceptional, being new means you have everything to prove and zero room to coast. Your first deployment comes faster than you expected. You're in a country you can't name, staged in a compound that doesn't appear on any map, waiting for a mission tasking that arrives at 2 in the morning. The target is a high-value individual linked to a network responsible for threats against American personnel. You kit up in the darkness. Helmet, nods, plates, weapon, breaching charges. The helicopter lifts off and the city below is just scattered lights and silence. When you hit the target compound, everything you trained for collapses into seconds. Breach, clear, move, communicate. It's over in minutes, and the objective is secured. On the flight back, nobody celebrates. The team leader, a quiet operator named Jensen, reviews what went right and what almost didn't. You learn fast that in DEVGRU, success is the baseline. What they notice is where you fell short. So you train harder. You volunteer for every additional skill course the unit offers. Advanced sniper, combat diving, freefall. Slowly, over 2 or 3 rotations, the veterans stop treating you like the new guy and start trusting you like a peer. 3 deployments with the squadron and a wall of after-action reports later, the troop chief pulls you aside. You're taking over as a team leader. Now the calculus changes completely. It's no longer about your individual performance. It's about the 4 operators behind you who are trusting your judgment with their lives. Your first operation in charge is a compound clearance in a dense urban area. Intel suggests the target is on the 2nd floor, but the layout is uncertain. You position your breacher, set your element's entry order, and make the call on timing. The door comes down. The first room is clear. The hallway splits left and right, and you have half a second to decide which way to push first. You go left. It's the right call. The target is there, but on the right side, one of your operators ears an unexpected threat and has to react alone for 3 critical seconds before his teammate catches up. Everyone makes it out. The objective is complete, but those 3 seconds eat at you for weeks. You replay the layout in your mind, study the drone footage, adjust your procedures. Because at this level, good enough is a failure you just got lucky on. Being a team leader means carrying every outcome, good and bad, as a personal responsibility. That weight never fully lifts. You've been in this unit long enough now that the new operators look at you the way you once looked at the veterans who trained you. You're the troop chief, the senior enlisted operator in a troop of roughly 20 shooters, and your role has expanded beyond the breach point. You're the tactical conscience of the troop. When the troop commander is planning a multi-target operation across 3 separate sites in a single city, you're the one reviewing every element's assault plan, identifying friction points, and demanding corrections before anyone steps onto a helicopter. One night, the tasking calls for simultaneous hits on 2 compounds and a vehicle interdiction, all within a 90-second window. You spend 6 hours in the planning bay with your team leaders, Chen, Wallace, and DeSoto, walking through contingencies. What happens if the vehicle deviates from its route? What if the second compound has more personnel than the imagery suggests? You build redundancy into every phase because you know from experience that plans rarely survive first contact cleanly. When the operation launches, you're monitoring communications from the Tactical Operations Center, tracking each element's progress in real time. Every call sign checks in. Every objective is secured. The mission works because you refuse to let anyone cut a corner during rehearsals, but your job doesn't end there. You're also the one who sits down with a younger operator who's struggling after a difficult deployment. Not because you're ordered to, but because you remember what it felt like, and because the strength of this unit has always been built on the men who took care of each other when no one was looking. At this level, your boots rarely touch foreign soil on operations, but your fingerprints are on every single one. You're the Squadron Master Chief, the senior enlisted leader for an entire DEVGRU squadron, and your influence stretches from training standards to deployment readiness to the quiet, unglamorous work of keeping the most capable operators in the world functioning as a cohesive team. When the Joint Special Operations Command passes down a national mission tasking, the kind that comes with a phone call from a 3-star general and a timeline measured in hours, you're in the room advising the squadron commander on personnel, equipment, and risk. You know every operator in the squadron by name, by skill set, by temperament under pressure. You know who thrives on hasty operations and who performs best with deliberate planning time. That knowledge isn't written in any file. It lives in your memory, built across years of shared deployments and thousands of hours of training. You're the bridge between the enlisted operators who execute and the officers who command, and both sides trust you because you've stood in their positions. The responsibility is enormous and largely invisible. When things go right, the operators get the credit. When something breaks down, you're the one asking yourself what you missed. You're no longer carrying a rifle through doorways. You're the one deciding which doorways get hit. As squadron commander, you lead one of DEVGRU's operational squadrons, and the scope of your authority would be difficult to explain to anyone outside this world. You're accountable to the DEVGRU commanding officer and, through the chain, to JSOC and National Command Authority. When a crisis erupts, an American hostage held in a hostile region, a confirmed high-value target with a closing window, you're the officer who receives the intelligence package, assembles your planners, and presents options to leadership. The decisions you make carry consequences that extend far beyond your squadron. A successful operation can shift the trajectory of a conflict. A failed one can create an international incident. You sit in a briefing room at the unit's compound in Virginia Beach, reviewing imagery and signals intelligence with your operations officer and master chief. The window to act is 36 hours. You weigh risk against reward, probability against consequence, and you make your recommendation to the commanding officer. This is where years of tactical experience meet strategic thinking, and there's no training exercise that fully prepares you for the weight of it. There are roughly 2.5 million service members in the United States military, and the unit you now command answers to almost none of them. You are the commanding officer of the Naval Special Warfare Development Group. The chain above you is short. JSOC, the Secretary of Defense, the President. Everything below you is your responsibility. Every operator, every support member, every mission, every outcome. When the phone rings from the Pentagon and you're told that a situation has developed that requires your unit's capabilities, you don't pass that call to someone else. You assess, you direct, you own the result. The loneliness of this command is something no one warns you about. You carry information that you can't share with your family, make decisions that won't be declassified for decades, and accept accountability for operations that the public may never learn about. But you also carry something else. The knowledge that the men and women in this unit represent the absolute best your nation can produce. and that they trust you to lead them with the same standard of excellence that got every single one of them through that green team door years ago. That trust is the heaviest thing you'll ever hold, and it's the one thing you refuse to drop. From a green team candidate wondering if today was your last day in selection, to the commanding officer holding the fate of the most elite unit on the PLA net, you've traveled a road almost no one completes. Along the way, you've breached doors in cities with no names, led operators through moments where seconds determined everything, and carried a weight that most people will never understand. DEVGRU doesn't create heroes for headlines. It creates professionals who perform at the highest level when the stakes couldn't be higher, and then come home and say nothing about it. That's the cost, and that's the point. If this deep dive into the ranks of SEAL Team 6 resonated with you, subscribe for more explorations into elite military and intelligence organizations. Next, we're uncovering every rank inside the CIA's most classified paramilitary division.